There's our lovely chat. How y'all doing, you beautiful bastards?
Oh, I gotta go to the chat.
You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go to the chat.
You gotta be in the chat, man.
Get to the chat. Get to the chopper. Is that still a thing?
No.
Everyone's making Schwarzenegger references after the Super Bowl last night.
The chopper.
You gotta get to the chopper. What are you doing?
The chopper. Yeah.
Anytime I forget how to do, yeah, exactly, yeah. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get flagged for predator copyright infringement. That impression was so on point.
It was so good. Yeah.
What are you doing? No. See you at the party, Richter.
I like you, so I kill you last.
What happened in the sports with the Schwarzenegger?
Oh, State Farm had a commercial with Arnold Schwarzenegger last night.
Cool. All right,
yeah. The whole joke was that he couldn't say neighbor. It was neighbor.
Okay.
That's the whole key of the joke of the whole commercial.
Sweet. Was was it good? Did you enjoy the commercials?
The commercials sucked this year. The game was pretty good though.
I watched an hour and a half on the first son. What are the sons of the Warhammer Sons? 1,000 Suns. That's what I was doing.
That's what Kyle did with his Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, it's cooler. It's probably more interesting. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. It's what we do every year. Unless it's horribly boring. I think 2019, whatever happened in 2019, we turned that Super Bowl off. It was so friggin' boring. Hi, chat. We're just setting up. If you want to yell nonsense at Jesse, now is your chance, because the second we start this thing, Jesse will be grilling us. He'll be trying to get
What? No.
He'll be trying to get a good sear on us.
They're gonna yell at me. Oh man!
Soon we get to
saying nonsense.
So we get to counter grill too.
Oh yeah.
You can't counter grill me. I'm ungrillable.
Ungrillable.
The ungrillable.
Okay. Well, could you do us a favor? Could you make sure that you beat Dawn Trail as soon as humanly possible, so that you can grill us about Dawn Trail?
Wow.
I mean, I will beat it before you, that's for sure. But I'm gonna level. I'm gonna level the 2 jobs first.
I feel like I should be offended by that statement.
That's a good strategy.
I feel like I should be offended by how quickly you made that proclamation.
That's just truth, though.
I know.
Yeah.
I will do it.
Truth.
When I hyper focus because of supreme undiagnosed ADD, so I will play it until I can't plays it no more, and then I'll beat it, and then I'll be like, well, what do? I guess I'll just go stare at my TV and not watch anything for 3 hours. Like, that kind of thing will happen. So, yeah.
We call that end of book sadness around here.
End of book sadness?
Yeah, where you just stare off.
Oh, well, yeah.
You strike your various Kermit poses with the sunset.
Yeah, with your little cup of coffee, just look at the sun.
I'm gonna
like, wow.
I'm gonna take this pillow and I'm gonna put it outside my window so that I can go up against the glass and just yell.
Is that your it's like they raise the flag or they light the smoke for the new pope. That's you.
You got this. You can choose your side.
Right.
All guests have to watch me show off my Emmett body pillow. No, I've already been joking that because we live in Florida and people love their political flags on their yard, that I'm going to take the pillow out of that and put it on my flagpole in my neighborhood the second I see a political flag go up for election this year, and everyone's going to be like, "What independent is that?" Yeah,
the best one.
Vote Garlington.
Independent.
Vote Garlington.
The Emmett Party.
The Emmett Party. Is the best one. They kind of wanted to,
just don't think about
kill
it too
everybody.
much.
He wanted to unite the world. And what's wrong with that?
End it there.
Jesse, you're going to awaken the Varys was right crowd in the comments. You're going to awaken those people, and I don't want to talk to them.
I'm all right.
don't want to talk to them.
I already brought up Warhammer once. They're just good. Yeah. They do whatever they want, man. Don't worry about it.
The man literally was like, "Let me eradicate the world with the plague." Like, no, he's not good. You're out of your mind.
Well,
if anything, Xenos killing him is the better act.
Listen, Sauron made some good points, okay? Sauron made some good points. You can't discount everything just because he sought to bind the world under his whim.
Yeah.
You don't throw out the good ideas just because he had a couple of bad ones.
He gave rings to everyone.
Exactly.
Good point.
Exactly. Everyone got
Would
rings.
a
Everybody.
madman bent on world domination just give out rings?
Right? Right?
You know, Moth Party.
Right?
That's what I'm part of. You live for like 3 hours, you got held by Ian McKellen.
Would
You
the
know, that's all you need.
creator of average vehicles like just give you access to a social media site and
Why would you?
and try and sell you
why
an
would you-
artificial intelligence
Why do you
upcharge?
continue to love this website so much? Let it go.
I would, but
Indiana?
no one interacts with me on Blue Sky, even though
Indiana?
everyone won't shut up about Blue Sky. You know, people love talking about
You
Blue
just hit
Sky on
him
Twitter.
with Indiana. Let it go, Indiana.
Let it go. Let it go. Son, I'm sorry.
They got us.
They got us.
They
One
bought
of my
us.
favorite movies. I love that
Same.
movie.
Same. Best from Indiana Jones. Okay, we good to go? Everybody
Soundtrack
good to
was
go?
excellent.
Because Jesse, you've got a hard out in 90 minutes, yes?
Yes, do it.
Okay.
Let's
All
go.
right. Let's put up this, which means let me pause this over yonder here. Beep, beep, beep. Going back, hitting the record button on a local recording. The Grinding Gear Podcast, episode 74, The Final Grill with Jesse Cox, records live in 3, 2, 1. I think Jesse's reaction is debunking your theory, your moon theory.
I didn't want to spoil anything, but I'm gonna. The twist ending of Endwalker is that 1, the moon is a 3D projection, and 2, Xenos eats it.
Yep.
He swallows it whole.
Yep.
And that's why people love it so much.
Yep. But they hate
They're
Xenos.
like, this is the best thing I've ever played. Because Xenos is like just sucks it down. Yeah,
moon.
he eats the moon.
It's time to kick off the grind to this week. It's the Grinding Gear Podcast. I'm Garrett. He's Kyle.
Hi.
And coming to us live via the internet, because I don't need to bring Kyle in live via the internet anymore,
Not anymore.
is none other than the internet's own Jesse Cox.
It is so nice to see the two of you in a room together, in a very well put together room that looks like you're about to rock out.
About to rock. Yeah. The more I think about, like, I've just always had guitars because I just always had them. But now because of the fact that it's a symmetrical based room, it brings so much attention to them. And I'm like, I don't do music content. I should
I like
probably
it.
move them to the side.
It's more the two of them because that suggests that one of them's for me, and that's extra horrifying because I have no idea what to do.
No, I like to imagine the two of you when the cameras go off, you just chill like
So-
yeah, you play it a little bit. I assume what are those candles that are also rocks? Those salt candy? You put those around. You know what I mean? the scent rocks. You put those around.
like a
you
seance?
incense.
That's exactly what we do.
Yeah.
I don't know how you knew this. You've never been to the Grinding Gear studio, but
That's something
apparently
about the two of you just told me.
you
This
know
sounds
exactly.
really
Something about
healthy. I like this idea a lot. Can you imagine? You're just like, I'm really tilted. And you
Yeah.
Ooh, that last match
Chilling.
pissed me off.
That one game of Heroes we play a week. You're just like, oh boy, get the salt candles out, get it out.
That Nacebo was perfect.
You're
Yeah.
the Nazebo in the.
I
oh,
know.
That's why
Yeah,
they're
it was perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, see, the Zeratul
right.
on the other side I wasn't respecting.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. It's good. I cannot imagine more heat in this room though. So the idea of candles disgusts me on a deep and personal, sweaty level.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's Florida, so like, you know,
It's an AC
You knew what you were getting
Jesse,
into.
but it's not doing its job.
But
It's not doing its
candles,
job.
much like biomass and Akasha, require very little justification for me to enjoy them.
Yeah. So warning to everyone that listens to this show: when it's not just a Final Fantasy 14 podcast, this is going to be just a Final Fantasy 14 podcast. Yeah. Just a warning.
we can talk about something else really quick. What's your favorite game right now besides 14? Go.
I just beat Control for the first time, and it's a new top 3 favorite game of all time for me.
One of my favorite games ever. Bing. Great call. All right. And
I'm deep in the
Hold on, wrong way.
Leviathan box set, so Warhammer 40K is what I'm doing right now.
hell yeah.
I haven't embraced a new game yet.
Yep.
Shopping's hard. I stared at Helldivers for like a solid hour.
We messed up. We should have done a duo stream on Friday because it's co-opable.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're really bad at the new game meta.
I like
Jesse,
window
how
shopping.
are you so good at the new game meta?
I'm not. Oh, don't say that. I'm not at all.
I feel like you're. I'm always like seeing your clips, your TikTokers on the Twitter, and you're always like playing something timely.
Timely's relative. I mean, I have a list of games that come out, and I will try some of them. A great example is a game comes out later this month, and I tried the demo for it last week, and I hated it. So, I try to. Thank God for Next Fest. That they just released a bunch of demos, and I love video game demos because it's like, oh, I get to play an hour of this thing with no commitment. That's so good for me. And then I do that, and then I move on. And people are like, wow, Jesse, it's so crazy. So you play that like the Final Fantasy VII demo. That's a solid. You guys should be playing that right now. Just boop. Here you go. Done.
Just go in, even though I barely know anything about Final Fantasy VII except the first.
Never mind. Don't do that. You will be what? Yeah, don't do that.
Well, hold on. I know the one major spoiler about the original game, and I've seen Advent Children, but I retained basically none of it because that movie makes no sense.
Banana.
Yeah.
Why?
You're not. Don't worry about it.
What's happening?
You weren't on the internet back then. It's fine. It's fine.
Are you?
5 minutes
the
into this.
implication that Final Fantasy VII has some sort of Minions crossover? And if that's the case, I'm here for it.
My favorite part is when Sephiroth goes Bedo, 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 Bedo.
Yeah.
Papagena.
Curious. No, I'm just having that like existential. Someone in our Discord was like, why do we argue about video games so much right now? Like, what's going on? And ultimately, I think it's just the window shopping. Like, so many games are vying for our time. Why not find reasons wrong with them? Just to like narrow things down a little bit and to fathom what our time on this planet means and hope we're doing the right thing with it.
I want some reviewers' entire persona to be, I'm running out of time on this planet. And so I'm going to be truthful and hard on all these games. And I don't care because I've only got so many hours and I'm not going to waste it on trash. I want that to be someone's whole thing.
Yep.
I want all killer, no filler on all games from now on.
Oh, yeah. Let's go back to the no filler days. Perfect.
Yeah.
Love those days.
No filler. You'll never play an MMO again.
No filler.
You'll never play another MMO. Ever.
Esports.
Ever.
No filler.
Yep. And then those of us who came up in MMO content, we're going to have a tough time.
That's maybe I'll help transition. Maybe I won't. But, with MMOs, if you play one, you've got a lot of game in your life. And you're already making some hard cuts.
I don't know what you're talking about, Kyle. We've gotten at least 4 comments recently that it's like, what are you going to do after the MSQ? And I'm just like, play the game.
I just learned about custom deliveries. I'm overwhelmed.
I'm going to play the game.
Oh my God.
I'm going to play the game.
There's some cat girl in a building who's like building hearts with me. I don't know, is this a dating sim? She likes when I craft the ancient relics.
How many extremes there are that I haven't completed? And then there's savages after that.
So much. I just got my bag set.
There's so many. We haven't even done an extreme with Jesse.
That's a big time commitment. We were just talking about time.
You haven't done an extreme? Which extreme?
No, we haven't done
I
it
love
with
extremes.
you. We haven't done an extreme with
extremes
you.
Are great. Extremes are fabulous.
I think it'd be fun to get
you're wrangling me into this.
You're signing him up.
Wouldn't it be? What if we? You remember when you came on for the round? What if we?
It's a whole D&D
I don't know how we
sessions.
would convince everybody to do this. We'd have to decide. But how? Like, we did the round table. What if we grabbed 4 more people? And okay, Mage, Preach, you, us, like, we all just went and did an extreme together.
This through. You're asking for multiple streamers to do an extreme together when every single one of them has only ever been carried through the extremes. Have
you watched our extremes, sir? Sir, have you watched our extremes?
I'm not talking about the 2 of you. I'm talking about me and
all
the people you mentioned.
Them's fighting words. Them's fighting words.
He means the DPS streamers. They always get carried because everyone else does the mechanics.
Because when we tank and heal, we're an
fault.
important part of the piece. So when we mess up, we wipe.
Yeah, we're all done. But if you're DPS, it's I will say though, I did do Uwu as a tank, and that required significant learning to do an ultimate. So, but I was like, if I'm gonna get the axe, I need to earn it. So that took weeks.
Yeah, this is the thing. Ears on those that haven't been convinced to play Final Fantasy XIV because you think the only reason anyone likes it is because the story. Because we are here to tell you, the gameplay is also good. You like there? Are you over there? Are you over there in WoW raiding land? You like those WoW raids? Is that why you like the game? They're really good in 14. Oh my God, go do an extreme, and then it gets harder after that. It gets harder after that. It's really freaking good.
Some of them are too hard. Some are just too hard.
I've heard this.
Anyone who was in the last raid series, that damn orange bird, one of the hardest things
There's an
that ever
orange bird?
existed.
Yeah, there's an orange bird.
No, I mean I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not, orange birds. What?
Orange Bird is an Epcot mascot.
Listen,
Yeah. What are you even talking about?
You're fighting the Orange Bird cartoon from Epcot?
Yep. You're fighting the orange bird. That's right.
Okay. All right.
my head is so terribly full after last time. I can't even digest an orange bird right now. Not ready for that. I still don't know if that purple crystal they flashed back in Heaven's Ward was just a like stand-in model, or if that's
for
the reason I'm
Zodiac?
going to kill Hyelin.
Oh God.
Oh, what have you done?
Sorry.
What have you done?
Sorry. I was just trying to stealth tweet and I accidentally opened the stream in the
monster,
background
you
and it started
monster.
derping. Oh God, it's doing it again.
Oh God, easy.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm trying to go to our own blue bird called Twitter, which is ironically enough now a black and white bird, not unlike what we just experienced in Final Fantasy XIV.
Wow, yeah, those memes are pretty
I
dated.
can't believe that Yoshida and team called it. Pretty shocking that they predicted.
They are
such
the
a-
Simpsons of MMO storytelling, being pop culturally relevant.
the social media Simpsons. Yeah. That's what they're. That's what they are. Pretty crazy.
So, we weren't sure if we were going to do another one of these with you, and then I think like our entire now budding friendship over the internet has been, it stayed with the same trend, which is our chat rooms tell us what to do together, and we do it.
Collude.
Not unlike Twitch plays Pokemon, but in this case, chat room creates
Demands.
internet friends.
Yeah. And then I lord over the fact that I have more information than you and sit here smugly while the two of you try to decipher what I'm talking about. It makes me feel good. So
Like-
honestly, it's win-win.
Like the Vana cutscene, you are an artistic representation of all of the MSQ vampires that watch
Topical.
us play this game.
Right. Yeah.
Not to be
yeah,
taken
yeah.
literally. Not to be taken
The
literally.
Nutkin, though, should be taken literally.
You think so? You are free to harbor that belief.
I should.
Have you heard about Kyle's Dawn Trail cook, Jesse?
Go on.
Oh, that the Nutkin climbs on Thancred. And it does use Chola first because live streams big Dawn Trail energy.
Dawn Trail's
So-
going to be all about the live stream because the Nutkin comes in contact with the two characters that came out of the live stream when we first saw a Nutkin. All the way
In the
back
order
in
that they emerged
Heaven's
from
Ward.
the live stream.
Yes.
Yes.
That's Kyle's Illuminati confirmed for Dawn Trail.
I see your theory, and I raise you a better one. It's because those are the only two characters that canonically have been naked.
But they were naked because of the
live
live
stream,
stream. Now
yeah.
I'm defending you.
Yeah, there you go.
the theory grows.
I think you're off your rocker. I think he's off his nut. But yeah, man, you
Speaking of nuts, that Nutkin served as a protector of body parts. Thus, I think this theory is valid. I'm in. I'm into this theory.
you're all
And Varus's body parts were divided into several towers.
Like a Nutkin would store acorns in several trees.
Van Daniel's a Nutkin.
Damn, dude.
Wow.
What a reveal. Can't believe it.
It's all here.
Spoiled.
you're leaving out the obvious name, which would be Emma Nutkin. Emma Nutkin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spandaniel is
yeah.
Amon. Amon is Spandaniel. Emma Nutkin.
Oh, man.
A little late for this warning. There's going to be spoilers up till basically the end of Endwalker today. Almost the end of Endwalker.
Well, level 87.
There's going to be spoilers up until that Endwalker cutscene, the Vana walk.
The walking of Vana.
Yeah.
Walkies.
Yeah. I'm going to actually recut it for our video with Aerosmith's Walk This Way because that is less likely to get flagged than any Realm Reborn music.
They're busy over there.
Yeah.
I hate that I'm already picturing it. I don't like that at all. I don't like it.
Just every step. Flash. Flash, flash.
They all have
Yep.
meaning.
Mhm.
Yep. Blood splash.
Yep. Or Icker. Or Icker. I-core.
Sure.
Depending.
Sure. I-core.
If you're from the future, you might say I-core.
Jesus. Yep.
I just hope there's a version where at the end, like Run DMC bursts through a wall, and then they do the rap version.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
That's everyone is here because they want you to grill us and to laugh, and everybody has a good laugh. But what if instead this podcast was actually just ranking the 14 members of the Convocation by their rap ability? Like which one of them would be the best freestyler and in what order?
The best freestyle rap artist of the Convocation is what's Imoroloff? What's the guy that died immediately? What's the very first dude? Yeah, that guy. What's the guy right out the gate?
You talk about sideburns?
It was Igyorm, wasn't it?
No. Igyorm died in the room with the Zerg juice. No. Oh my God, what is his name? Nabriellis.
Nabriellis. Yeah, that's the guy. He is the best, hands down.
Okay.
No,
and the reason I know that is because no one's rapped the entire time. Hence, he would have to be the best one because clearly, without him, no rapping was happening.
we wouldn't have had tied up Menthilia either.
That's
logic.
It's definitely not Elidibus because that dude forgets words.
No, Imoloth, he's got cloud hair, and I thought dude with a eye patch was an Asian for like 3 expansions in a row because they had the same hair, and they haven't done anything with Imoloth yet.
Turns out they're just not going to do things with a decent chunk
amount of them. Maybe, there could always.
Elidibus is like a great rap name.
It
Elidibus has a vibe to it.
It could go either way because it could also be like a really good like deathcore, like hardcore band.
Oh, you can see it in like the tattered t-shirt.
Because who was it? Norma Jean. Norma Jean is a hardcore band that used to be called Ludacris, but also the rapper Ludacris exists,
right.
And so they changed their name.
You could see Emmett Silk written on some like really poorly drawn teeth. They're at a college poster.
Also, friggin' like legit. I don't know how much either of you are into current what's happening in the rock scene, but this very popular band that's been around for a while, but suddenly they're like world famous. Sleep Token. They dress like freaking Asians.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah,
awesome.
So if you need any reason to get into Sleep Token, there you go. They look like Asians. I think they very recently changed their masks, and I'm not sure how true that is anymore. But
Sundered or where are we? What?
Well, actually, they have lore. All of their songs are written from the perspective of like this reborn cult worshiping a moon goddess.
I like that. Like Glory Hammer does that.
Yeah, but it's like cool. Sorry, I don't like Glory Hammer.
Except this one's cool.
Oh, fair.
But yeah, they like deep lore. I find it fascinating. I haven't given them a lot of time. I haven't gotten deep into actually like appreciating the music, but I find their lore fascinating. It's been a recent, when I'm bored, I Google it and read up on what's going on with that.
Well, Jesse, you are here. You have witnessed the journey. You've witnessed the Vana grilling, the disrespecting of Hyelin along the whole ride. And now you find us here.
do you want to judge us for doubting Hyelin like so many commenters on the internet?
Everyone did. No judgments. Every single human being before the expansion launch was like, yeah, Hylin's the bad guy. We know this. Everyone knows this.
I mean, once they dropped to me, the bomb in Shadowbringers that both Hyelin and Zodiac are primals, I'm like, oh, hello, I am a red flag.
Yeah. I know chat's saying lies, but that's because chat is delusional. I promise you. There was a part of them, they were a little worried that it was going to be like, yeah.
It's a Final Fantasy game. You got to kill God eventually. Doesn't matter how much you used to like that God.
Blindly following still blind.
Oh.
That's what a lot of people thought too. They were wondering, and I'm curious what you think. A lot of people were like, are we tempered?
Oh, yeah. That came up in one of
our
our videos. Yeah, I thought that too.
Which would be an interesting inevitability to play with, because obviously the game is telling you how you think sometimes. Like, for instance, going, oh, when you fly away from Emmett, like, maybe I didn't feel like, oh, exactly. You did. I know you felt like going, oh my.
Don't put obvious words in my
best
mouth.
Friend, no. But sometimes they gotta let it ride. And it would be an interesting way, but ultimately I'm glad they didn't, because that would be kind of lame.
A lot is left up to interpretation.
Yeah.
A lot is left nebulous. That whole Vana cutscene, I think, is meant to be interpreted.
Yeah, I mean, I guess speaking of interpretation, gentlemen, as you know, I am so very busy, and I definitely don't have time to watch any of your streams because I am such a busy entrepreneur.
Yep.
But if you could, explain to me in your own words, what's happened in this expansion so far?
Really like drunk history without being drunk.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to watch Fortuno cry yet. That's a crime.
Yeah, Fortuno hasn't like gotten kicked in the nuts, either literally or figuratively, which has bummed me out. So yeah, if you
I would just love to hear your words of what has happened. What's happened so far?
To tee this up for audience that this might be the first time you've ever listened to Jesse on our show, if you missed the past episodes, Jesse has come on the Grinding Gear podcast. We meant to talk about other things, and instead he just grilled us on what we think is going to happen in the future of Final Fantasy XIV.
So
this is going to be the last one of these before we complete Endwalker, because we feel like we're starting to put it together, and we can't imagine if we do like one more MSQ stream, there's going to be any point for Jesse to like tool with us. So this is the final grilling session until Dawn Trail, basically.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, so Kyle, what is previously on Endwalker? We got on a boat. Definitely Vana called it at the time, showed up on the boat to us and said some cryptic shit. And I was like, that's maddeningly unhelpful. And that wasn't clear until last week when it became very clear as to what.
Well, we knew about the heart thing from a Niter and all that, but yeah, I don't mean to.
Yeah,
we were summarizing, please.
Yeah, because we already saw some. Yeah, it was Vana. It was Vana. Vana shows up. Then we go and we hang out with a bun boy who likes collecting things in Epcot. We have a coffee. And
that was a good coffee scene. And then it's time for
Alphina's dad's a dick.
Yep. That's time for Towers, which is again another like, hey, you thought this would be the whole expansion, but just kidding. Like, it's a tiny little bit.
Alphina's mom, everybody loves, but I think she's suspiciously dismissive of what a dick Alphina's dad is.
Yeah. Little cope there.
Yeah, big cope. The mom is made a cope. And then we go to a place with elephant people. Mm-hmm. We fail to sell any fish, and the apocalypse unleashes.
To an extent.
Yeah.
Slowly at first.
Yep. Then we go into a tower and we fight a bunch of references to a Final Fantasy I haven't played. And Fandaniel reveals himself to be Amon, which is one of my favorite revelations of Endwalker up until time travel is invoked. What happens after that? What's the in-between? Then it's all like...
Well, then you go learn about Akasha, because you whip out your flower, because everyone's happy.
Yeah. The elephant lady in a dress tells us about an entirely new magic system because here at the 11th hour, because we have time for stuff like that. And then we go to... Oh, yeah, there's a moon in there somewhere.
You're getting there.
Oh, yeah. That's right, yeah. And then we go to Garlemald, and...
Right, doesn't that feel...
It's very sad.
Forever ago?
That does feel forever ago. And then and then we fight Varus as a Final Fantasy X reference.
That was fine though.
That was very cool.
Yeah,
that was way cooler than the Final Fantasy IV.
Because his butt was also a monster.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we fight Daddy's butt monster.
Yeah, or his legs, but they congealed into a monster.
that was so dope. I would do that dungeon. We haven't done that dungeon a second time.
Fandaniel, because he has the prowess. He programs the device to shoot the laser at the moon, and it doesn't quite break.
From the juiced Garleans. He uses the juice of Garleans to fire him and Xenos to the moon.
And Kryle's like, I changed his itinerary, so he's going to be late.
That's right.
So you can get there on time. You meet the Watcher, who's having a real bad time.
Well, we go to the moon. We then follow them to the moon to the right place. We steal their itinerary. We go to the correct location on the moon. We meet the Watcher. We see Zodiark's prison. We meet real Hythlodaeus, because we find out that...
Well, yes, real Hythlodaeus, but he's still not with his memories because he's still trapped.
Well, that was a whole new thing. We didn't even know that memories were... We didn't even know memories were on the freaking menu at that point. We had a half-finished menu, but we find the real Hythlodaeus. We learn that all the ancients that gave themselves the summon Zodiac are trapped in a state of limbo. They cannot pass on because they're just
They cannot
stuck.
return to the stars, that strange realm reborn, Oriange once said.
Which we didn't really know that was on the menu either until we got to Elpis. And then we went back to Elephant Land. Dragon ran for president. We go to the first, and we go to Elpis through time travel because Elidibus wants to help us now.
Yeah, because he got trapped in the tower, and now he has access to all of the Exarch's files.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And then we go to Elpis, and we learn that we're in a stable time loop, essentially.
That's basically
and the final day started because a bunch of bird girl satellites absorbed a bunch of bad vibes.
Dead alien vibes.
Yeah. Dead alien
Rough
vibes
stuff.
caused the apocalypse. That's what happened up to this point in Endwalker. Is that a are we gonna get points for that recollection?
We're saying any of those could have been a whole expansion.
You'll get some I'll give you like 6 points to Gryffindor. You're fine.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Delightful.
Yeah.
Delightful.
So, all right, so there's your story. There's your, you clearly
sticking to
experienced it. Yeah, now I'm caught up.
I fully absorbed.
None of that.
Right,
none
right.
of that was extremely simplified for the sake of me keeping track
Listen,
of
the
it.
game got to cheat when it did it. It just like flashed a picture of La Habrea, flashed a picture of Amarant, and was like, we remember everything here at Square Enix.
Elidibus' arc makes complete sense.
Our notes are perfect.
They did keep some good notes. From when you started.
Yep.
Till right now.
Yep.
Are there any characters that your opinions have changed having met them?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, wait. Do you mean in Elpis?
I mean, in the entire expansion.
I mean, from Realm Reborn to Stormblood, I feel like my entire growth was going from absolutely hating Alphino's guts to him becoming one of the more fully fleshed out and interesting characters in the game. So that's the first one that pops into my mind. Everyone changed. I'm trying to think of a character that like doesn't change.
I'm talking about your opinions of them.
I mean,
Is there a character that, at some point, you were like, huh, I guess they kind of suck. Or vice versa,
I mean, Endwalker alone, Fandaniel, is unlayered and wacky.
Yeah.
You got Vana, obviously, which is...
Yeah, Vana Hylin's probably the biggest one because I was kind of just ready for her to be the surprise big bad of Endwalker the whole time. Astinian kind of bothered me when I first met him. He was a little too much of a zealot for my tastes.
Oh, you didn't like that? You didn't find it charming?
I don't. It's a good foil.
Yeah.
But I don't like that. Like I don't want to hang out with a zealot in my real life. So I don't. It's not a character I like when they are so immovable.
That time when he was like, F you, Alphino. Hey, Warrior of
Oh
Light,
yeah, that
let's
was the
go
coolest
chill."
he ever was.
Yeah, let's go hang out.
Yeah,
We're friends now.
No, and then he becomes a very like level-headed character. I love like post Heaven's Ward Astinian, like this mercenary who's too cool for school and. Yeah. Oh, Gaius. I mean, Gaius was like the most, like, I just like, he's a bad guy who wants to be Darth Vader and then becomes one of my favorite characters throughout Shadowbringers and obviously the Trial series with him.
Yeah.
Absolutely freaking love Gaius.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like my opinion of almost every character has changed. I didn't trust Oriange for the longest time. Now I trust Oriange, and I found him kind of annoying in Realm Reborn until when Brita showed up on scene and became sympathetic.
Wow, that's early.
Yeah, well, he was shady in Realm.
He was
Reborn.
pretty shady in Shadowbringers.
He was shady
being
and
weird.
he was annoying to read for because he talks like a damn Shakespeare character. So there's multiple layers to me being annoyed by Oriange. I'm trying to think of a character my opinion didn't at some point change. I loved Emmett basically from the get-go, so I have had no change. I just love him more after Elpis.
You never liked the princess, though. You always kind of...
Oh, Nanamo?
Yeah, you rip on Nanamo.
Nanamo gets way too much love. Nanamo has some weird, like, They just like forgot Merwib existed for all of the game except for 5.4.
But they named her guns.
What?
She had that whole thing about her guns being different cool names.
That was 5.4.
Yeah.
That's the only time
I
they
guess
give
you
her
did-
any
you did
lines.
caveat that. Okay.
Like 5.4 happened, they're like, oh shit, we forgot about literally every other world leader. Let's give someone other than Nanamo a character that we wrote back from death some love. Yeah. You know how like in World of Warcraft, like the people who play that game are like, alliance bias. Final Fantasy 14 has some massive Nanamo bias. None of the other leaders really like get to shine.
But Jesse, what were you getting at?
What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Was there something?
Stone face.
Was there something in particular?
I have a feeling Fortuno was probably the jumping off point there. But if they Demon Slayer that shit and like right at the 11th hour, they're like, but Fortuno had all these reasons to be a sad.
Well, that's why Alphinaud's so happy. Clear skies and Dawn Trail. Dad got kicked in the balls.
My dad's dead. All is right with
Gonna
the
be
world.
a beautiful expansion.
You got it. It's a weird cutscene, but the graphics, I think they motion captured the ball kick. It's pretty
it's
impressive.
really, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
you figured it out. That happens right after the moon eating.
The moment of impact.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, I know you're not going to spoil things for us, but could you tell us who kicks Fortuno in the balls?
Alizé.
Though that would be the right character. That would be the correct character.
I cannot tell you. I'm not trying to get in anything. I'm not. I will say though, when I first started, everyone told me to start in Ul'dah because it was the most story important thing, and so I did it, and I'm happy I did it because you're absolutely correct. They love that city, love it.
Yep.
Everything happens there.
I was
Which is a
very
shame.
happy. I was very happy I started there. But I feel like what you're getting at, of course, is the Vana change up. And for me, like everything's justified by her being an adventurer, understanding adventurers, like all the seeds. Now, granted, we've been making videos in the background here. We've been researching some old scenes.
We have probably 3 videos in the can that we're editing right now.
But
we have so many thoughts on all of this.
But there's a scene with Kryl where they're down in Labyrinthios. She's like, "Hey, flower, do whatever you want with who knows? Well, is it important? No. You know what? If you think it's important, it can be important." And all that makes sense.
But we had a flower and it's gone now.
But when you think about all that seeding that Vana Hyelin did along the way without direct interaction and telling you where to be, it all makes sense now because she was an adventurer and she knows a good plot.
Hyelin is a quest designer.
Yeah. You gotta make sure you're
Hyelin
willing.
works for Square Enix, and the placard on the desk says quest designer.
And if you really freaking hated the adventure and you go fight despair harpies, you're gonna be despairing because the game sucks and you won't want to complete the mission, and that's the end.
It's a little more meta than I can stomach.
I think it's what I needed. It may not be what you needed. I've got my own I've got my own things that are just, people would call them nitpicky. That is just intensely me. Like, why, when we were in Eureka last week, did we find the elephant despair summon model in there? What? Wait, hang on. Why?
Oh, the monster that spawns in the Vana cutscene and eats the ancient.
The spitty one that also eats, I think, Grandma. I think Grandma gets eaten.
They play super fast and loose with monsters and what they look like being important or not important to the lore. This goes all the way back to you being disappointed about the motorcycle man when we were going through one of the Garlean facilities.
Yes, Castrum Mabania?
I forget which one, but the you know what I'm talking about, Jesse? The monster that looks like it's like on
He's holding a
wheels.
wheel.
It's like one of the
It's
things.
the Final Fantasy VI Magitech guy.
That's the thing. Kyle immediately on stream was like, "Oh my god, the Garleans are like Frankensteining people," and immediately 7 people in chat are just like, "It's a Final Fantasy VI reference," and Kyle was just so deflated, like, "No, I want story to why they're making
melted a
motorcycles."
man into a motorcycle. Why is this?
But it is story relevant.
Let's talk about
because.
No,
I say it's story relevant because there's a whole plot line where they're what's his face name days in Stormblood.
Yeah.
His whole thing is they mutate him.
Yep.
So they do that. That's what you're 100% accurate. They just made it Final Fantasy VI reference, but like they're doing it. The one boss you fight where his arms grow as you fight him in Stormblood. That's the whole part of it.
Yep.
Is those boys are.
I think what deflated Kyle was just like very quickly, like no one wanted to explore.
No one wanted to
how
explore.
it worked into the actual
Yeah.
story. They just wanted to. It's a 6 reference.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Kyle's like, we're here to talk about the story. Why do you want to talk about the story?
And I loved in Shadowbringers, we kind of explored what Sin Eater became, what type of thing. Whether if you were Spider, you became like rejected. What were they called? What was the titles of the
Sin Eaters?
Yeah, the Sin Eaters. Like the bear was not good at hibernation, and he was like rejected sleeping. Damn, it's been a while.
It has been a bit.
Did you guys ever have a conversation? I don't know if you did or if I'm forgetting about the relationship between Sin Eaters and Void Scent.
No.
Have you ever had that talk?
No, I think it's been hinted at a few times, but I'm going to be completely honest. I don't really understand the Void Scent lore.
It's the same thing.
It's just the opposite.
Like, I think in A Realm Reborn, I think they say that the Void Scent are straight up just people that were voided, right? They became monsters,
So instead
which
of too
is the
much,
exact same thing as the Sin Eaters.
so instead of an overabundance of light causing like a stagnancy, it was like an overabundance. Would it be darkness or void? Or is it
Darkness.
one and the same.
It's literally the man. I don't know if it's said in Shadowbringers or earlier, but it's literally said that like the Void Scent are in Shadowbringers are like the darkness. It's active because it's like the Void Scent constantly have to feed, and the other ones, I keep forgetting their names, the
Sin Eaters?
Sin Eaters, they're the stagnant ones, and so they're the exact same thing, except one's from a world of light and one's from a world of dark.
Yeah.
I think
and
it's
we
super interesting that's what they came up with.
And one of the rejoining was one of the reflections falling to darkness and becoming the world of
No, that was
darkness.
Igor messing up and taking it too far. That wasn't a full-blown rejoining.
Oh.
That was Whoops All Dark.
Oh,
Yeah, and so the
that's
two that
right.
didn't work, the dark and the light that screwed up, they're the ones that have all the
Those are the two
monster
failed
effects.
rejoinings, and we have it's basically yin and yang. We have a light.
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
dark. Okay, cool. Yeah.
yeah.
They don't. They literally don't dedicate an entire expansion to going to the world that was flooded by darkness, and so like I feel like I didn't pay as close to attention
Yeah,
to it as
sure.
I did the flood
There
of
is
light.
I don't know if you guys did it. There is a quest line in Shadowbringers that's not even important, but if you are in, I think it's Lakeland. There's like a archaeologist who's like, I'm digging up research about the light and the dark, and it just gives you a bunch of lore. It's cool as hell.
Interesting.
It's one of the few quests I'm like, do that. Every other quest, I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
whatever, it doesn't matter.
Sick.
There's a few that are really important. And I'm
We
just
should
like,
do that.
oh, okay.
If someone in our Discord could let us know what quest that is, thank you. 'Cause
Yeah, especially if you did the all of the job quests in Shadowbringers.
We did. Yeah.
we did.
You unlocked like the special extra bonus thing.
We did.
It relates to that.
Okay.
So it's super interesting that it exists, but it's like, oh, okay.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So they have stuff like that that expands it a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely early on. It's either Shadowbringers or prior where they're like, let's talk about the Void Scent. It might be when the Warriors of Darkness show up. I don't quite remember.
Because I remember them being brought up that they're void because they hunger.
That's right. So Heaven's
forever.
Ward would make sense for that.
It may have even been like back in the manor, the haunted house.
Oh, Hawkeye Manor?
Or
Yeah.
Void Arc. Could have been the Void
Yeah,
Arc.
Well, Void Arc
storyline.
has a bunch of
Void
that
Arc is
stuff.
very
Yeah,
cool.
with the mock and all that.
I love derelict ships.
I really need to go
floating in space
revisit that because I like seeing a bunch of purpley future things being hinted at in Dawn Trail. I'm like, well, that kind of reminds me of the mock. That sure reminds me of the mock.
There's you know how in the game you can find alpha around the world or Edda
Yeah.
around the world
Yeah.
or different. I was doing the Mog, the Moogle dailies, and just in the background is the Void Arc, and it's the first time I've ever seen it. And I took a photo and went to Discord and was like, "Yo, what is that? Is that?" And it was like, "That's the Void Arc,
Oh,
dude." I was like,
out
"I've never seen that before. That's so cool."
Out in Azazla, right? Because that's the only place it shows up.
No, it was in
What?
No, it's in Birdland.
Zenith. Yeah, wherever the
Oh,
Mog
right.
home
No,
is.
not Azaslaw. Sorry, it's the other flying island.
No,
area.
I'm telling you, it was
Really?
in where the Moogles are. I think it
Huh.
goes to different zones.
Oh, cool.
It goes to different zones? I thought it was just Sea of
Yeah.
Clouds. What?
It was in the Churning Mists when I saw it. That was neat.
Churning Mists, yes.
Okay, so it does. So it does relocate. Okay, that's rad.
So I didn't know that. That was 2 days ago. So you
Oh,
will
wow.
always discover something new. Yeah.
Yeah, people don't recommend it because it's just a kind of okay game. Like, it's a pretty rad game that takes a lot of things into consideration.
Definitely. Well, we only just recorded the video just now where I was lining up the Omega Dead Star Baron Star to the various bird girl lines.
If you're listening to this when it came out, I don't think you're going to see this for like maybe 3 weeks, but yeah. Yeah, it was.
I'm excited for that. That
takes,
sounds good.
Takes a while to make some videos.
That was fun. I like doing that stuff.
Yeah, because for the longest time, I kept saying, "Oh yeah, like the Alliance raids, the lore is made up and it doesn't really impact the main story quest." And every time I thought they were just standing their favorite Alliance raids, but they're actually kind of right. They work it all in, man. They work in Omega, they work in Alexander, just the very end of Alexander. You can skip all of the Goblin stuff. It is. But yeah, shit gets tied in.
Or used.
Yeah.
But either way, it's well done.
Yeah, Nier doesn't matter. Don't tell Nier fans that, Zachary and Chad. Don't tell the Nier fans that. It all matters.
However, we were talking about Vanilla.
Yeah, where do we leave off? We got sidetracked.
Yes, we were talking about Vanan and her knowing how to seed an adventure. Therefore, when she is coy, it makes sense because she wants to make sure she
has
doesn't
to
mess
be
up the
coy
time.
because it's a time loop. You can't butterfly effect and screw things up.
Yeah, but you also got to want to and have the desire to save life. Otherwise, you would fall to despair.
Yeah, but also because it's a time loop, we told her exactly what happened, and her memory wasn't wiped, so she knows what we need to do along the way.
In outside of the Hoshafant emote, a lot of it's pretty nebulous as to what exactly we say. You know, we never brought up Elidibus at the table. I'm pretty sure we talked about Elidibus.
But the fact that we didn't soften Emmett's role in all of this, so much so to the fact that we deeply offend him and he storms out of the room, means I think the Warrior of Light is canonically excruciatingly detailed in spoiling Final Fantasy XIV for the well, they're not all members of the Convocation, but for the ancients in the room.
Exactly.
Speaking of Vana and the flower, right? You also mentioned time loop. And Vana don't want to spoil things. The first thing Vana does is what again? When you meet on the boat?
Oh, basically hints.
Yeah.
That-
When our times intertwine, a conjunction, then I will honor the promise made in this age and the past. I'm paraphrasing horribly there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And shit, what was the promise she made? I just watched that cutscene. I don't remember because that would.
well, she said, "I will honor the promise
Well, what's the promise?
that we're gonna kick ass."
Oh, okay. So we just talked to Kryle. We handed in. So the next quest, Hylin's going to finally pipe up again because Hylin's been mysteriously quiet
That'd be cool.
up to this point.
I'd be down for that. It's like, yo, now that you know that I know that you know, let's go.
Let's talk. Let's have a word.
But also, the world's kind
Maybe
of
the word of the
exploding.
mother.
Yeah.
I yield back to you, Jesse.
I just think it's interesting that
You should come
one
visit.
of your main conclusions was an unbroken timeline. Yet I seem to recall that she gave you a flower and was like, "This means something," and then said nothing. It was like, "Bye." That seems pretty broken to me.
Well, I disagree now, though, because you would need the will to pursue the adventure. Otherwise, you'd fall to despair. If someone was leaving you the entire trail before you, you'd be like, screw this. This adventure sucks. I'm being hyperbolic, but, like,
No, I know.
you got to have the desire.
That's not why I'm having a reaction.
You got to
I'm
have the
having a
desire
reaction.
to do the adventure. And technically, it was the Watcher who says, oh, we know that as the Elpis flower, but Elpis isn't the name of flower, it's a place. And then when you say that, Graha at the tea scene, after the running of the baby, goes, we should go ask Elidibus. He's still locked in the tower. And that's how you end up back on Elpis. So you do, in your
And we
own
don't-
way, organically find out.
Yeah, I kind of discounted the flower ever since it like disappeared. Like it I don't feel so good, Mr. Starks, and just like disintegrates. And I know there's more,
Why did it do that?
but we haven't been back. Huh?
Why did the flower get
Oh
owned?
my god! What shit? When did it get owned? I don't remember.
Because it did seem kind of tragic. Like, oh no, we were going to use that to like make sure we were divining the horoscopes right, or
That we were happy.
yeah,
That we were staying happy.
that our mood ring was functional.
That we-
Now we're screwed.
Yeah, I assumed they were going to use them to just be a monitoring device to like make sure you don't succumb to despair. We don't need elephant people turning black and smoky and turning into monsters. And then that never
Desparometer.
happened. That never happened.
Well, the elephant thing did happen, but yeah.
Well,
the
yeah,
flower
but
thing.
we never used the Elpis flower to like make some sort of gauge to like be a smoke alarm for someone turning into a first beast
That's interesting.
or what did
Yeah,
they ended up naming them? They ended up naming them shit. What are the monsters called? Chat's gonna get me. Does anyone remember this? What were they called?
The first beast?
But
The first beast is one of them.
First
Yeah.
beast is the
One of the
blasphemies.
guys.
The blasphemies.
Thank you,
There we
Jesus
go.
Christ. Yeah, they call them blasphemies. So yeah, I thought they were going to be basically blasphemy smoke alarms, but we don't go there. Maybe we still could, but Jesse seems to be hinting at something entirely different. And so
I'm not reading
not,
into
I'm
what
just
Jesse.
curious
Yeah,
that-
yeah, he's just curious.
I'm just curious that you had a flower. You no longer have the flower. What purpose does it serve? Was the impetus for the whole quest?
I thought the whole thing was so that we start to question the significance of it, therefore bringing up Elpis and someone else being like, well, why don't we go talk to someone who actually was alive back when these flowers were supposedly plentiful? Like, again, it's like seeding things into the mind of the Warrior of Light and into the Scions so that they maintain course correctly without just like appearing and being like, yo, you gotta do this. Or
Right. Well, and in my opinion, Hyelin still makes mistakes. Because in A Realm Reborn, she was like, is this the moment? Bum, 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 like to stop Gaius and his machine when he was, piloting the Ava that went crazy.
But again, depending on how
But- and then
detailed we were, she may have known already. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy because if we said, yeah, and then you
But
showed
she didn't
up
know
and you
that.
saved
That's
us
what I
during
like
Gaius.
about it. Is that she didn't know that she was going to overexpend there. That's why Midgard's armor had to jump in for heaven's
Does
word.
she actually say, is this the moment? Like, question mark?
No, but that's why I think it's cool.
So then how do you know she doesn't know?
Well, I don't know that she doesn't know. But all she knows is the story we told her. Oh, I guess we could have said that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess, when we're telling the story, we could have been like, and then you were there when we were fighting Gaius, and like La Habrea took over the robot, and it was super cool. You like,
Yeah,
you,
why would we leave
you
that
like
out?
poured all the juice yeah, I guess you did
Why,
flash
why
La
would we
Habrea.
live,
Yeah.
why would we leave
So
out
you pour it all over.
a moment where Hyelin
And then you're like
intervenes?
absolutely tuckered out. So like Midgard, you haven't met him yet, but Midgard server, when he comes to the planet, be like, welcome dragons and all your eggs, because we're going to need those eggs so I can ride them. But then come Omega, he's going to like tucker it out, but don't worry about that because Omega's a raid. So you're not really involved in it.
We need to work on your compartmentalization of points.
I'm just saying,
I'm still stuck in Gaius land.
I'm just saying that Hyelin.
And you're overriding dragon eggs?
No, you've made an excellent point. You made an excellent point that we could have told Hyelin to
Oh.
get very excited about fighting Gaius.
Yeah, we're going to need your help when we get to Gaius because you helped.
But I also like the idea that she's fallible and she was just like, is this it? And like throws the switch and
all
100%
of the
power.
ancients, even Emmett, not to the point of like an Elidibus or a La Habrea that went proper cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but they all experience some type of wariness for how long they've been alive. Like they all experience
Yeah.
hardship just from the eons that they've lived. So it could be true for Hyelin, but to me, I don't feel like the game is going there. For me, I'm not on that boat.
What do you think, Jesse?
I'm just curious. In the alternate timeline, the one in which Graha sees the future and experiences the plague that takes place and has to travel to an alternate time / shard.
He basically creates a new timeline, is kind of how I interpret it.
I mean, that's what our timeline is, I think.
Our
I'm not really sure on this, but I feel like he is saying, by doing what I'm doing, I'm creating a new timeline because one will happen. And I guess the question becomes, okay, so where was Hyelin then? And more importantly, why did Hyelin show up now?
Well, Hyelin may have never been part of that timeline.
That does hurt my brain.
Because we wouldn't have told her about that story because it.
But we were told it, so we could have told. We could have.
Yeah, but
we mentioned it.
But we told her it was a failed.
I come back to me the simplest way to explain it. It's just a time loop.
Hang on. You just convinced me that we told Hyelin everything, and that's why she 100% powered
I'm agreeing with that.
Yeah,
but I'm saying I chalk it up to it's a time loop. So we mention everything like and time travel, any type of time travel story at some point gets a little fast and loose with its rules.
But in
'cause you
Graha's
have to.
timeline, we die, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All of us die.
Yeah.
So what's that? That's weird.
But if we told her that never existed in the first place, there's no reason that Splinter timeline Hyelin would participate because she would already know the future, that's the future she dies in or doesn't participate in. It's fine. So let it go.
So why'd she decide to show up when she did at the end of Shadowbringers? I've never seen her before this point.
Oh, like in person in like Vana form?
The end of Shadowbringers?
Shadowbringer. It's basically the beginning of Endwalker. She
It
shows
was
up on
like
the boat at the beginning of Endwalker.
5.55555. Like the very last, she's at the lake in the very last scene
The lake.
of Shadowbringers.
Oh, you're right. Yes. Forgot about that. I don't know. Because we're getting close to the I've been reading a little bit into just the closer we get to the inflection point, which is us traveling to Elpis. She gets pretty specific, pretty hands-on, but then when we get super close to it, she goes full hands off the wheel. The gears are in motion. I no longer need to guide.
It gets a little muddy with the Heavensward information from Anti-Tower when she was like, listen, as Zodiark grows, I diminish. So that's why I'm not participating. But now we work in, she's not doing it for time reasons.
But if she tried to come and greet us after Shadowbringers in the timeline where we died, we wouldn't have been there to greet because we were dead. So this is the only timeline that would have made sense for her to even appear on because we're still alive.
Bizarre question.
This is where my brain starts to become mush when I think about the Final Fantasy XIV narrative, because we're dealing with not only multiple timelines but multiple reflections, and so like how many multiplicatives are there? If one reflection, if the first can have different timelines, can not all reflections have different timelines, and where does it end? Is kind of thing. And that's where I also get hung up on you love the bit about Omega traveling through the stars and seemingly, and I think you're right, making references to the dead civilizations that Medion found. But I'm like, well, hold on. Did Omega get sundered? Like what happened to the rest of the cosmos post sundering? The only thing that got sundered was essentially like the world unsundered, but the rest of the cosmos stays unchanged. And then where does the 14 reflections where do they physically exist in the cosmos? Or are there 14 cosmoses and the 14 reflections?
When she appeared at the end of Shadowbringers, that was on the source, right? Not on
Yes,
the
it was in Mordona. It was right outside, right by the lake, right by the
outside the
Maker Somer dungeon.
Yeah, no. It was on the source. It's not. You said the first or source? Sorry.
Source.
Okay, you said the source.
So that's why correct, yeah. she needed Minfilia to even interact on the first, because Hyelin can't go outside the source. Would be my answer to your question.
Hyelin kind of does go outside the source though, because she
using Minfilia.
She goes to the first using Minfilia.
Yeah. And Ardbert and us can travel between shards, so maybe Hyelin can't. Which is why she is missing in big chunks of Jesse's question.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, so like, then why did Elidibus help you?
Oh, you mean in the tower?
Yeah. What was that about?
Well, he died, and he got his memories. Right?
Sort of, yes. And then Zodiark was killed, so that would have freed up like whatever last vestiges, right? Because Elidibus also was the heart of Zodiark, so we have to assume that his
maybe. But I figured Zodiark was running, pilotless. That's why Van Daniel was able to climb inside.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, my brain hurts. To me, that I like his monologue as we step through the archway in the Crystal Tower to go to Elpis. There's final monologue moments from Elidibus, and to me, that's just him making peace. And to me, I thought he more or less spelt it out that like Zodiark has fallen. Like Elidibus's guard, the entire reason for him fighting and holding on, it's over. Zodiark's dead. So why bother? Like I believe he took it as Vana in a way has maybe not proven herself right, but she won, and so he says it falls to you now, in that cutscene, and so I just kind of took that at face value as well. Zodiark's gone. The whole reason I'm here and I was fighting and I was resisting is gone. So what is left but for me to at least aid you so that some life can continue on.
He also had the memory of you there, though. That may have been birthed inside his head by us going to the past at that moment in a fracture.
He did say, I saw you there, but we didn't run into Elidibus while we were there, so I'm very confused about the whole I saw you there.
He might have had some binoculars.
He's just out on one of the floating islands with some opera glasses.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's that.
But we don't know what he
freak.
looks like. We don't know, all we know is he looks like Warrior of Light and Ardbert. So he could be any of the people around there.
We know he's little. He's just a little bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I yield to Jesse.
Weird. All right, so
you conniving,
uh,
wonderful man.
thank you. Just really curious your thoughts on just, from where we started this expansion to now. Are there any characters you kind of wish we saw more of? Like, who did you think would be important, but then just didn't end up being important? Like, what do you think about all that?
Oh, we joked about.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Portion of for me, because that's something I want to explore. I love the idea of the dad torn by duty and fatherhood, and I was already kind of in like the dad headspace, being a dad, but also after all the Gaius adventures.
I thought Gaius was going to be important, and he doesn't even really show. He doesn't show up.
I thought
he's not in this
He
expansion.
was pretty clear.
We go to Garlemald, and we don't take our Garlean friend with us.
I didn't take it that way because he was like, "I've got civic duties to do now. I'm going to be kicking it here for quite a while."
Yes, but
It would have been cool to hang with him more, but I think he would have been a retread hanging out there. I would have loved to hang with him.
I think you could have done an interesting kind of true
Playing
grit.
devils.
Like I like the archetype of the cowboy that's done, like the fighter who's done, but there's a really good reason for them to be called into action one more time.
I mean, obviously, Oriange is dangling because he's hanging out on Bunny Planet.
In general, I feel like the Scions, like they've done some Scion-y things, but it hasn't felt like they have been particularly effective in their efforts. They all have kind of felt a little swept to the side, in particular folks like Y'shtola and Oriange. Oriange has a beautiful character moment where I feel like he finally finds peace. Like he is that big moment where he talks about the guilt, the weight of all the deaths that he feel are on his hands on the moon. I love that scene. But in terms of like what he's actually accomplished this expansion, it hasn't been a whole lot. It's like panicked that Estinian was spending that much money, and that's about it.
I don't think...
Also, he made reference to Moon Brutus' parents, and we never met them.
Oriange doesn't bother me, though, because he's going to be part of the whole, like, this isn't a transport, this is a battleship. And we're going to all the way to Harpy Land and go blow up Medion.
Just because the piece of pizza on the logo looks like a Star Destroyer doesn't mean it is literally a Star
You
Destroyer.
continue to believe it's pizza. It is perspective, Mr. Artist. And it is long and disappearing into the horizon.
I think it's a Dorito.
Also pizza shaped.
Yep.
I think it is rectangular,
We'll find out.
but perspective.
We'll find out.
But I don't think the Scion's not participating doesn't bother me because it's the Warrior of Light story. It's the Shard of Azim story.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, yeah, if anything, the Ancients have had a lot more to do with it than I expected them to, because I'm like, they're all dead. But They're not if you time travel. So, yeah. Your poker face.
Anyone else?
Incredible.
Anyone else?
Absolutely incredible.
We didn't get the right one.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, I see.
I'm just asking questions.
I just think about like all the Scions.
I mean,
Xenos. Xenos at this point, I'm just kind of annoyed. I'm like, how did you even bring him in? He seems like such small potatoes now by comparison to the threat that we are facing. Like,
he's got a similar visual language on his Reaper Pokemon as the ancients do, with kind of, you know, wings on their face and stuff like that.
He does kind of a little bit.
So,
You're right. His Reaper shade does kind of look a little bit like transformed Hades and Hermes.
And we did the Void, the Reaper opening quest where you sort of commune with the Void, but so there's opportunities for all kinds of crazy things. Like he could be communicating with Medion somehow, and he got himself a little despair elemental.
Yeah, you know what? My answer is Xenos. Xenos is the big one. I thought Xenos was going to be integral to all of this, and he's just kind of been like led by the hand by Fandaniel everywhere.
But isn't that great?
Fandaniel's gone, and Xenos just like does prison rules, walks by us without making eye contact, and just F's off.
Lots of people were telling us how mad they were that Xenos was coming back, and having participate so little sounds like the solution.
I read into that a little bit. People being like, I didn't like Xenos means that I think he still feels small potatoes even at the end of all of this. However he factors in, probably still feels inconsequential to the cosmic horror that is Medion and her sisters.
It just doesn't take much for me to like that trope. I love I'll be the one to kill you, whether it's Samurai Champloo or Bleach or I'm your warden kind of energy.
I'm with you too, but he hasn't been very present. I expected more Xenos, is my answer to that question.
With how much hate he got, yes.
Much more Xenos.
Okay. I've been asking you about characters that we have seen or not seen, or that you wish you had seen more of, but what are your thoughts on the fact that Elpis reintroduced characters and brought some major characters back? Did you like that? Is it something that you were like, all right, no one really dies? Are you looking for, like, do you want more of that in the future? Do you want less of that? What's your vibe on that kind of stuff?
I think it's pretty class act in terms of all the various ways you can bring back dead characters. I think this is a pretty class act because it doesn't detract from the weight of Emmett's death at the end of 5-0 because it's in the past. It's not. We didn't I don't know. What's the Friday the 13th where lightning brings Jason back, even though it's after the final Friday the 13th. There was a final Friday the 13th, and they lied to everybody, including the special effects artists, to get them to actually come back for this one, and then they just went and made another damn sequel.
Oh, okay.
Lightning strikes Jason's grave. It's actually, in my opinion, one of the better Friday the 13th. But
because they were giving it their all, because it was going to be the last one.
No. It's the one after what was supposed to be the last one.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. That version.
When was Jason in space after that?
That was Jason. That was X. That was Jason 10.
But he was made of nanobots, right? Or he was formed on a table?
Eventually. It starts where they find him cryogenically frozen, and it's normal Jason, but they bring him to the space station. He starts killing people. He gets horribly damaged, falls into the med bay, and the nanobots
of course. Okay.
Futurize him. I fucking love Friday the 13th.
Why do they cryogenically freeze that man?
We
what
laugh,
are they
but
thinking?
if we replaced his name with Xenos, it sounds like it could happen in Final Fantasy 14. So let's not be too hard on it.
Anyway, we didn't waltz out to the live stream, open the live stream door and be like, hey, everybody, just grab him by the hand, pull him out. And he's like, I'm back and I have all my memories, by the way. Hi, I can't wait to hang out with you. It's now the Hanging Out with Emmett Selk expansion. Let's go.
Because we already did that.
Sort of. Yeah, I think it just what achievement did. If you're going to revisit characters, I like the way that this game did it, because we don't detract from the weight of their deaths by going about it the way that the story went about it. And it also I tend to not like bringing back dead characters. I also don't like amnesia plot lines, and Final Fantasy XIV has done so many interesting character studies through amnesia plot lines that I'm like, cool. I kind of trust the story at this point. I don't get angry about storytelling tropes that I typically don't like anymore with Final Fantasy XIV.
I've got certain things I'm careful of because of reactions I've received. Like, one thing I'd like to see is perhaps a revisit of La Habre. I'd love to see him unsundered and sane. But, you know, I often get a lot of like, whoa, we don't want to explore that kind of energy when I talk about like, what was La Habrea? So some of it, like over this long journey we've had, has been informed and steered by audience reaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that is something I would be curious about. Like, I'd love to meet,
Yeah.
I'd love to be Elidibus when he wasn't so confused.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was he on an island with binoculars?
Because I love vibing in Final Fantasy 14. So to your question of what I like more of that, Jesse, I don't know if I want more going to Elpis, hanging out with the ancients as like story stuff. Like, I kind of hope they really mean it when they say that we're going on a new story starting at Dawn Trail. I hope we get real weird with it. But I would love if we had casual reasons to go back, like side stories to go back, or like, hell, open a housing district on Elpis, you know, like just something like that where it's part of the kind of the theme park side of Final Fantasy 14, because it's Final Fantasy 14 is very, I didn't grow up playing other Final Fantasies, but it is very much a celebration of all Final Fantasies. There's so many references to pretty much every damn Final Fantasy that's ever made. At a certain point, why not let you go revel in 14 itself by letting me go let me have an apartment in Amarat. Let me go have a house in Elpis. Give me reasons to just kind of go vibe and hang out in those zones. But I'm not sure I want them to beat the Elpis hammer as part of a main story quest anytime soon.
Okay. I'm curious. We got
Man is a legend.
two-ish. Trying to figure out where you are mentally in the story. 2-ish levels of content left. Big question time. Where do you think we're going? What's happening?
Hermes already told us, because Hermes told Medion where to go. We're going to the edge of the universe. Go, Medion. Go to the edge of the universe where no one can find you. Unless Vana on her flying dog puts like a superhero tracker on you and can track exactly
so
where
we
you
know.
went.
Yeah.
You know where the destination is. I'm asking you, how? Why? When? In what way?
With the pizza spaceship from the Endwalker logo that we haven't seen yet. We know there's a ship on the moon, so I think we retrofit that sucker. We lock Fortuno's nerd ass in the locker because he's not going to be okay with that. He's going to be like, no, wait, we're supposed to use this for the contingency, and we just shut up, nerd, and put him in a locker.
Well, for some reason, Bun Boy shows up and is like really integral because everyone loves him and he hasn't done much yet. And everyone's like, this is the scene I've been waiting for him to pilot the spaceship.
They just love him for the reason they love all characters, because he's hot.
But and I've seen the mommy thing, which I know was in the zeitgeist at the time.
You always bring up mommy?
Because everyone was all yelling mommy when Vana showed up, but you know, like it was just the time period.
Kyle goes from zero to mommy so fast, you don't understand, Jesse.
What is this mommy thing? You keep bringing up mommy.
But
it's just a kink, Kyle.
I think
things can just be kinks.
But that doesn't mean you should trust your mommy.
Let it be a kink.
The most mommy moment she walked in was there at the end of days, and she was like, you know what? Everybody's sundered. You know what? No one can handle despair here. Everyone out of the pool. No one gets any toys. You don't deserve a perfect universe. Everyone out. Get out. Sword.
Yep. That's so much more natural than
that's the biggest mommy moment there's been.
People like making fan art on the internet.
However, what I believe is going to happen is we are going to go to the ship and we're going to be like, hey, everybody, we're down. We know the real story. And this spaceship's supposed to take us to the edge of the universe to fight the Harpy girls.
By filling in the unknown that is Medion and her sisters, and knowing that it's essentially this hive mind, now at the end of the universe, they reference a nest. Yeah. They have made a punchable threat. Like, we can go to that threat and fight it. We can punch this threat. I don't want to, because Medion.
I want to do it.
I feel bad for Medion.
No, she ate all the despair of the aliens.
But dude, right before she turned black and white, she's in our head, and she seems very distressed by what's about to happen to her, and she's concerned for her friends because she says protect protect them, protect everyone.
Hermes messed up by not giving a good enough thesis statement in her programming, so she was able to windsock and absorb the despair of dead aliens, and she needs to be defeated before she destroys the universe, because inevitability says that
People say I'm the bloodthirsty one in the group.
I could make an argument that I'm the healer and I want to heal all that despair out of the universe.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
wouldn't that
right.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Heals for murder.
But we're going to show up.
Way
We're
to
going to
go.
be like, bunnies, this is the prime directive. And they're going to be like, oh, you're right. Oh, my God, you're right. We were programmed for this.
I mean, hell, at this point, maybe Vanah shows up and talks to the Loporrits and is like, hey, okay.
that would undermine Oriange's character growth. He needs to be the one because he's studying with the bunnies right now. He needs to be the one who's been like, bunnies, do the thing.
Maybe he makes an appeal. They're not on board because of the prime directive. And then Vanah just shows up to be like, hey, what he said. And they're like, oh, okay, thanks, mommy. Now I'm talking like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, how we get there, I don't know. We beam to the moon. Maybe we can beam to the nest, or I think we use the ship.
Yeah.
I'm hung up on the fact that there's something that looks like a ship on the logo of Endwalker, and we still haven't seen it. And why would you use a ship?
Ride the ship.
To go somewhere.
Yeah.
Where haven't we gone yet? This new nest of harpy monster girls that we need to fight.
And then, like Power Rangers Lost in Space and Vanah's Zordon, she says, all right, you done it. You saved the universe. I am full of ancient souls that want to be released. And like Liu Kang, big laser
beating Shao
and
Shang Tsung.
Yeah. The brother flies out and you talk to the brother, but the brother's Emmett.
But the brother's Emmett, and he's like,
Wait, but he's not in there. No,
I remember everything.
Someone else is
friend.
in there. We don't know anybody inside.
Oh, that's
Vanah.
no. I think whatever happens in this final fight, we're dealing with. You wouldn't. Hitler wouldn't be like, we get our memories back when we die, bro, and then them not to use that little nugget.
Right.
He wouldn't do that. So I think whatever happens in this final fight, we're tapping into the live stream, and I think dead friends are going to show up like they did during Nidhogg.
But that's not essential for Hyelin because we don't know anybody inside Hyelin.
No, I'm not getting into your Hyelin thing right now.
Okay.
I think you're right, but I don't think that plays into this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I think Vanah maybe challenge. They gotta have a Hyelin trial, right? So I think at the end of all of this, they clean it up. Hydalin's like, okay, it's time for me to pass on so that all the souls that made me can also pass on. Fight me one last time, and we get to fight Hyelin some
because that's what we did with Emmett, because
primal form.
It'd be like she's an adventure, and it'd be the awesome send-off.
I think, yeah. I think.
But the weird part about my theory is we don't know any ancients or souls inside Vanah, and that would be like an obvious
I don't think it
set them
matters.
free.
I think it's mostly just about letting Vanah pass on, and they'll visually represent the other
Yeah, she's not
souls
having fun.
somehow.
She's not having a
She's
good time.
exhausted.
Yeah.
We just saw how tired she is through that cutscene.
Covered in ichor.
Let that person rest. So that's my thought. So my vague order of events is we travel to the nest, probably on the moon ship, fight Medion and the sisters, and somehow our dead friends from the live stream are involved.
Right.
And then release Hyelin of her
juice.
Yeah, that you could have used any other word. But yes.
There we go.
Release Hyelin of her juice. Roll credits. At some point.
Because everyone said 6.3 isn't their favorite expansion ever. Or their favorite patch ever. Because if people were like, sir, you don't believe it, we got to get to 6.3, then I'd be like, well, that's the one we're going to do the
this is all done. This is all done by credit rolls. This is all, there's no hanging Realm Reborn through Endwalker story threads heading into patch content.
But what about Emelith, or whatever the dude's name we couldn't remember collectively, all three of us? No, the other guy we were talking about an hour ago.
Oh, Nabriellis?
The one with the cloud hair.
Oh.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It was a while ago. Don't worry about
I
it.
think that was real.
Real.
Yeah.
But he's not an Asian.
No,
I thought he was.
He's not an Asian.
Yeah, I thought he
no.
was.
No.
Okay, so that's your predictions for what happens the rest of this.
Yeah.
What happens after that?
I have no idea.
0.5 patches leading into a Dawn Trail. Like,
I have
what could possibly happen?
Goth Cowboy shows up and tells us to go kill Dota characters. And that's the end.
because there's
the launcher.
There's that red-haired woman with a bow and a green dress
And I
that
was really excited to
fan
draw.
art was inescapable of, but I don't know who she is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Windrunner from
Dota.
Dota shows up, and Goth Cowboy fights her.
It's perfect. The perfect patch cycle.
And there's a suit of armor on a throne.
Yes.
I don't know. We definitely fight something.
And Elidibus plays piano.
Because there was a suit of armor on a throne on the launcher for like 2 months. But,
I love the interpretation of you guys based entirely on the launcher. This is what I think half of what you just said is stuff you can buy on the store. I'm not sure it's actually content. I was like, what do they talk? Sure, yeah.
There's an archer character that everyone was like hot for. Which doesn't narrow things down because people are hot for literally every character.
I was about
in this
to
game.
say.
It really doesn't narrow things down. Yeah, like our good friend Marco this morning tweeted, he's like, why are people so up about shipping in Final Fantasy VII? Like, I don't get it. I'm like, because they're beautiful. They're gorgeous, Marco. That's why. They're gorgeous. Everyone at some point in their life goes, now kiss. Everyone has that. Just a little bit. Just more. Some people have it more than others. No, I'm reacting, Jesse, because on one of our recent streams, it was the stream. It was like one of the in-betweeners when we found out that Hermes made a bunch of Meteons and fired them off into the cosmos like satellites. And before we had the revelation that all of the worlds that were found were basically dead or dying. I was like, oh, wouldn't that be interesting if that was the patch content? If we go to these new unknown worlds, because they could be anything. The life forms could look any way they want to look. There'll probably be references to other Final Fantasies, but they could be completely new, unknown things.
Can you imagine Final Fantasy 14 killing off all the worlds of other Final Fantasy games?
And a couple of people very quickly were like shooting me down like, ooh, Gary, you need to adjust your expectations because like it's really done after this. And I'm like, let me be wrong. I don't want to know that. Don't tell me that. Like, let me think that there's more of a direct lineage from whatever the end of 6.0 is into 6.1, 6.2, etc.
That's just true. There is a lot of disappointment surrounding whatever the patch content
right?
is.
But this is also, people were disappointed with Stormblood, and I think Stormblood is better than 75% of Endwalker I've played so far. So
damn,
I'm gonna, I liked Stormblood a lot. So like, I don't let popular opinion in a negative way usually affect me, and if anything, it usually increases my enjoyment because I'm like, ooh, this is gonna suck, and then I play it and I'm like, this isn't that bad, and I end up really enjoying it. So, but I don't want to be just told wrong and have it affect my assumption of where we're going. And I probably would have already come to that conclusion myself once we had the cutscene and realized that everywhere that Meteon landed was a dead civilization. I would have been like, okay, well, that's off the menu for patch content. So I don't freaking know.
So I've got an idea here that I'm birthing at the very moment. So hold up. The bubble in Catesis leveled down all the ancients so they could run with us. And that's
you are so hung up on that.
I love that bubble. The bubble justifies so much. It's such an important bubble for me. This is why it's up to interpretation, because we're all going to find things really important and other people are going to be like, bullshit, that's not important. And for me, the bubble is important. Same with Vanah being an adventure. So what we could do is go around raid battling old ancients who retired but didn't return to the star. Like Vanah.
But wouldn't they would have been sundered.
Maybe they were beyond time and space? I mean, the Harpy didn't get sundered. Omega Planet maybe didn't get sundered. Did Vanah, Hyelin only sunder a planet? The Source?
You're going like Star Wars on me. Like, oh yeah, all the Jedi are dead except for these 75 other Jedi.
And then there's like
that keep showing up.
There's like the Midgard Surmer never showed up and was like, I really need a planet. The first. Why isn't Midgard Surmer? If you're saying everything's sundered forever and ever, there should be a Midgard Surmer going to every single shard looking for a planet because his eggs are hatching.
This is based entirely off of people shooting down my idea that somehow this is tied into Elpis Revelations. Because I have seen vague people that were like vague bummers about the patch content.
You think my idea is too cool?
Your idea is too cool. And
what a sad meta you're running.
I'm speaking generally here. This is if you enjoyed what other people did not enjoy. I'm not talking about you, but I'm speaking generally here. Generally, people are like, Stormblood's not the best. So generally, if I think the most popularly negative most popular negative opinions about Final Fantasy 14 are focused around Stormblood, and also like Realm Reborn patch content. I think people just don't like civics, economics, and politics all that much in Final Fantasy 14 because that's Realm Reborn patch content. That is Stormblood the expansion, and I think we're just picking up the pieces after whatever happens in Endwalker. I think we're making sure Garlemald is like safe and functioning, and they're actually able to build back as a functioning society.
I mean, when we get into that kind of stuff, I think one of the things I'm most concerned about is role quests. Like, we're going to finish the main story, and then we're going to go do role quests, and they're going to be like, listen, like, Ishgard's on freaking fire because of the final days, and it's going to be this terrible, like, time warp because we didn't do them in the right amount of time.
I'm not
We're not
for
pausing
role quests.
the
I'm
MSQ
not-
to go do
I'm not
role
doing
quests.
it,
But I, that's one of my weird concerns. But what if, what if Ifrit, the god, the interpretation of Ifrit that the Lizardmen made was actually a stellar ancient that escaped the Sundering by being too far away and now lives in a star because the stars are windows according to astrologian lore looking on our world.
That'd be cool. I'd be into that.
So there could be, they could have us fight like all the primals, but in their like original forms.
There was two. Well, like, I'm trying not to read too much into the civilizations that Medion rattles off because there's so many civilizations that are rattled off. But one of them, she said, it was a society that like worshipped higher beings, and the higher beings led to their downfall.
Yeah, the auspice.
And I'm like, oh yeah, auspices. I'm like, that sounds a whole lot like primals. But at the end, they talk about the higher beings feeling remorse, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like primals.
But in their original forms, if they weren't.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, then that's tying into Elpis, and I've basically been told point blank, don't tie it into Elpis, and I'm like annoyed by that. You stunted my cook.
There are a lot of opportunities.
Internet. How dare you? Be like Jesse. Sit there with no emotion at all.
Were there dragons on the first?
Were there dragons? There were those loopy worm boys, the ones that have the archbacks.
There
they were
was
walking around.
nothing like Midgard Sormer or Nidhogg or Reisfager on the first.
Eden was on the first. Did that have any? Because that was all made up in our own
Everything
heads,
on
projected.
Eden was a manifestation.
I'm just trying to think of side content that may have had a dragon.
Eden's freaking incredible, by the way.
There was the big turtle. Turtle dragons are a thing.
Turtle dragons.
Remember the Oriange was trying to swim and he communicated with the bubble whale? I guess it was a whale, not a turtle.
Oh, yeah, it's a whale.
Yeah, that was a whale.
It's not a dragon. Whales aren't dragons, Kyle. I know one thing in this world, and it's that whales are not dragons.
Dragons of the sea.
Ranjit had a dragon, but it was also a jacket. So.
Yeah, no, and in fact, like Vitra makes it a big deal of like reminding us that Midgard Sormer chose our world, like chose the source to come to, like saw it as a beacon of hope, I believe was the direct quote.
That's an interesting question. Whatever do you mean?
If only we could use dragons as spaceships.
Oh, quick question. Are there dragons on the 13th? Are there any Void Sent dragons?
What the hell happened on the 13th? That was the one that fell to darkness, yes?
Yep.
Okay. Thank God you're here. Are there dragons on the 13th? Are there Void Sent dragons?
Wouldn't they have had to been in the world of darkness for us to know about them? The Crystal Tower raid?
Were there any dragons in the Crystal? I can't remember. Were there dragons in the Crystal Tower raid?
I'd like to use a lifeline. Jesse, if there was a dragon in the Crystal Tower raid, the raid I remember almost nothing about.
It was Mike Wazowski, Cerberus, and you had to decide who goes in the mouth, and the big lady, right?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. When you were going up the Crystal Tower, was there any like what was one of those bosses? There was when you're in the world of darkness. What was? Just something to think about. It's weird. It's crazy.
So there's dragons on the 13th is what Jesse is clearly getting at.
so
That's not. I didn't say that at all.
Yeah, I know. You're being accused of leading questions in the chat. So, yeah. People are just Gab Gano in chat says Circus has like 10 dragons. What are you guys talking about? I don't remember. I don't like the Crystal Tower raids. I avoid them like the plague.
Interesting. So, I mean, I guess, you know,
And the tower exists on all shards.
Well, how, and that does not help.
But that also doesn't mean they're identical, because the crystal tower on the first is nothing like our,
Oh my
our
God.
crystal tower on
That
the
doesn't
source.
help at all.
We don't go hang out with the crystal exarch and it's like, oh, sorry, just step around.
Next question.
Just step around darkness.
Next
just step around
question.
darkness. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess we could just use the freaking crystal tower. Although at this point,
We got 7 minutes left. Next question.
We used it. This is the first reference to the time limit we have on the podcast. Jesse does have a heart out, everybody. We used up the rest of our Elidibus gas though to go to Elpis, so I don't think we can just like hop back in the magic school bus crystal tower. And
Well, that was just to get him to help us. There's still magic in it.
we also we have the crystal tower on the source. We could use that crystal tower for something. I'm too hung up on Space Star Destroyer. All right, Jesse, parting thoughts.
just two super quick questions.
I'm sure they're going to be
One-
extremely fast.
Yeah, no, just real quick. How does a person defeat despair?
Well, the power of friendship. And I'm not memeing, you know. That's
Well, if despair is basically a god and it's a Final Fantasy game, you just kill God.
Well, not forever. You know, this is the congealed dead alien despair.
Well, that's-
despair still exists. We're not
Well, if you believe Vana, you accept it as an ever-present reality and strive to live in spite of it.
But that's also a great justification for why the world's not going to be unsundered. Yes. When it's over. I was checking for a double negative there. I had to check real quick, but yes. Because otherwise, you know, then everyone would be like, hey, why would they release a new faction for the expansion? Because we're all merged again. Oh man, no more expansions have races anymore.
And
One last thing, just really quickly. Based on everything you've done so far across the last X number of expansions and this entire story, what is one of each of you, one for each of you, please, if you would, what is one story beat you wish that they would address? A loose thread, if you will.
I would have loved to have known I was being asked this before showing up today.
Unfortunately, I cannot give you questions in advance. It would ruin the whole. You Google it. You'd be like, "What was that thing called?" Then you Google it, and you probably ruin your entire day. So
I
I'm
wouldn't.
just
We
saying.
have a questions Discord where I ask questions and they give me spoiler safe answers. You know, I have
Privileged man.
I have my means. I have
Right.
my means. It's not privilege. It's called good interaction with a community. That's what it's called. It's called good community interaction.
Just if if there's anything that you think about, like, man, I wish they would just give me an answer to that thing. What is it? Like, what goes on in your head at night when you lay in bed dreaming about Final Fantasy 14? And you're just like, man, I wish they would just explain that to me.
I'll go. I'm trying to think of something unique, which is the wrong thing to do here. I just want to keep getting into the Alligans. And a lot of people don't like that through line, particularly with Dawn Trail having like a Wild West kind of section and a sort of South American vibe. I'm like, oh, let's do UFOs. Like, let's go hard. Alligans tried to explore the universe, and they have that crash ship on the moon too. I want to know about that. But that's the majority of my thought is like, why was the Emperor getting all crazy? Was Fandaniel just driving him nuts like he did us?
I'm struggling with recency bias because I know there's older threads that I give a crap
take
about,
recent.
but I'm having extreme recency bias of like I just like what are we doing with this other than giving me an excuse to see Emmett again? What are we doing with this revelation that the ancients get their unaltered memories returned to them when they die? But I trust this game. I trust you, Final Fantasy 14. I know you're gonna pay that off. I know you're going to pay it off. So I'm trying to think of something that I don't think they'll pay off. And I have minor things. Like, why did Orianjay bring up Moonbreeda's parents before we set off for the majority of Endwalker, and then nothing comes of that?
Well, that gave him a vulnerability before the spaceship, and he kind of gave himself to that project. But I know we're limited on time. I've got one that's inspired by our chats. Because, what was it, 2 years ago, a year ago? It was like, hey, what god did you pick when you made your character? No reason. By now. So
I was told by everybody I trust in games when I was making my character, because I asked you, and I asked our other friends that played, hey, does it matter what god I pick? And everyone immediately went, it doesn't matter at all. And I internalized that for the last 2 years, my entire playthrough of this game, as the gods are irrelevant.
No reason.
And they still feel irrelevant. They still feel irrelevant. They haven't brought them up other than a statue of Ralgar in Ralgar's Reach. It's just been no point. I was expecting Elpis to have some kind of like god revelation, the way everyone was like has been hinting about like the gods being important. And now we're done. We're back from Elpis, and I'm like, nope, nothing about gods. So I got nothing there, man.
Why was the room so gooey when we fought Aegiorm? And what is Ascian Prime? No, I'm just kidding. I'm okay with that now. I'm okay with that one. It's okay.
Yeah. Like everything lingering in my head is it's all recency bias. And I think it's going to get addressed. Like, why has Hyelin been so freaking quiet leading up to us heading to Elpis? Why hasn't Reen heard from Hyelin? And to me, just the first is a massive dangling thread. Like, I'm like, I just want progress updates. How is it going on the first? You know, is the empty no longer empty? Like, I enjoyed Eden so much. I want to like, is it just spreading like wild growth out from there? Is the planet mending?
30 seconds. All right.
That's what I want.
Dude, we got to use this time to thank Jesse, I guess, because he's got to go.
Just yelling at me. Just like, I'm having a very calm thought, and you're just shouting in my face.
All good thoughts. All such good thoughts. I'm so proud of you that you're willing to take the time to look inward and try to determine what is about to happen over the next several hours of your life. And I can't wait for you to find out. You're gonna go on an adventure, y'all. You're gonna go on an adventure.
Don't worry. We'll invite you back when all is said and done to ask us if the journey has been worthwhile.
Well, he can ask that, but we get to ask questions next time. Next time we get to ask our questions.
Yes, that'll be a good time. So, Jesse, thanks for coming on, dude.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
If folks somehow are not already acquainted with you, where can folks find you?
Just Jesse Cox ever on the internet, on the old YouTubes, on the streams, on the Twitch, and just Google me. You'll find like everything. It's there. Or go to jessecox.com. It has all the links. It's just one of those link tree pages, but I have the name, so it seems more important.
Check it out. Big fans here. Complimenting your shorts before we started this podcast. So.
Thank you. I don't make them at all.
You said the words. Your words were excellent. Yeah. And an editor made them more excellent.
Thank you.
The good words. Well, thank you, dude. We will see you in our chat, I guess.
Yeah, I will continue to give you nothing. Please enjoy.
Thanks, dude. Enjoy whatever it is you need to get to.
Bye, y'all. Have a good one.
Bye.
And that brings us to the end of yet another Grinding Gear podcast.
That was horrifying.
Final Fantasy XIV specific edition, the final grilling.
Oh my God.
Before the walk to the end.
I know that people love pointing out that Jesse was previously a teacher, but I felt it. I felt that like,
boy, did I feel it.
Is that the best you have? Is that really it?
I felt like I all wrong answers. I feel like I gave all wrong answers during that.
Maybe.
Yeah. But
the energy was right. The energy was right.
I will not give wrong thanks because it is the end of the program, and that means we want to thank all of you that are supporting us through YouTube membership and our Patreon, which you can find, of course. Kyle, what is that wonderful website called?
Patreon.com/ Well, we don't use that one, do we?
No.
No, we go to supportourbromance.com.
Yeah, it's almost
It's easier.
We only mention
It's
it
easier.
every one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Supportourbromance.com. Check out our Patreon if you like the content that we make. You want to support us. Check it out. We appreciate it. What are you doing? Because I need whatever you're about to go away from.
I'm going here because this is a whole nother thing.
No, we need to do this first.
Oh, you're doing the other thing for the podcast. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing we
do the thing. Do the thing.
Every week.
Please do the thing.
I'd like to thank all of you. Every week on the program, we thank everyone who signed up from last episode. And we have quite a few today. So thank you to Graham Cracker. Would you like to take the next one?
Beef hard cheese.
I love that name. Jumps 004. Thank you.
Honey Can.
Bridget P.
Morgan.
Casper W.
R.A.
Riley G.
And Clawtooth.
I would say Kite Clawtooth.
Kite Clawtooth.
Kite Clawtooth. Thank you. And of course, we thank our legendary level backers every week. So thank you for your generous support. Sean B., Mike R., Stephen J., Das, Cheesy Bob, Chris Knox, Lost Mythics, Wayra E., Zervon, Compsci Jedi, Darkman, Pothy P., Bloodsea Von Snugglegore, Zachary D., Star Johnson, Zaxok, Avane, Shinny Geo, Nicholas C., Gazlin F., Coral, Slyn, Thalm, Catwolf, Jerry T., and in conjunction, Sean and Jen.
Oh, I felt like we should have said that together.
Well, they're in conjunction.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Thank you for the support, everybody. Again, check out supportourbromance.com. Go sign up. Every level gets access to our Discord, our members-only channels in the Discord, an ad-free version of this program, as well as access to bonus podcasts, bonus videos, and up at higher levels, things like voting on what we play on our Patrons' Choice streams, and thanks on every episode of the podcast and our videos. Kyle and I use Doghouse Systems gaming PCs. Go to doghousesystems.com to check them out. If you're in the market for a new PC and you decide to purchase with Doghouse, use the code BROMANCE. You'll get a free 2 terabyte NVMe SSD for your trouble.
I like those things.
I do too, man. I don't know how I ever lived without one. Other than that, we're on Twitter. Still. Yep. Doesn't matter how much it's fallen to despair. Kyle's at Kyle Ferguson. I'm at Garrett Art, and we have a joint account at Garrett and Kyle. Give us a follow there. Make sure you follow Jesse at Jesse Cox. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Grinding Gear Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, cook well and GG.
Take care.
And that's the end of the podcast proper live stream. If you're still hanging out with us.
Hello.
Welcome to the after show, where we thank you for your live support in super chat form.
Or membership form.
Or scold Kyle for pulling up the dashboard while I was trying to read patrons.
Oh, yeah. Well, you just did such an excellent job ending things.
Segueing. It was seamless.
Yeah.
It was seamless.
I was I'm reeling.
Seamless.
I'm exhausted.
I'm hungry.
Oh.
I'm very hungry. It was a lot of cooking, so I'm hungry. Marion and Little Shush, thanks for re-upping Creator as well during all of that. Dlam Morris, new member, thanks for that. Welcome to the Gearbox. Midnight Miko is celebrating 21 months and says, my membership can drink now.
Nice.
Hope you had a good cocktail for all that cooking. All of it. Daykoth wanted to thank Jesse for recommending Orc Massage. It's very therapeutic. Looking forward to the next podcast.
I have heard much about this game.
What the hell is Orc Massage?
You give orc massages. I believe you are the orc giving the massages.
Oh, I could use that. My neck is jacked.
Strong hands.
Strong hands. The strongest hands. Alexander C., thanks for re-upping. Megafish, super chatted. I like how the whole Medion thing is implied to have happened before we got to Elbis. We couldn't have stopped it, and we didn't cause it. I didn't really think about it in that way, but yeah. That makes it. It never really entered my mind because like you're right on the money, Mega. It didn't enter my mind of like you can still offer like in the choice dialogue at the very end before you leave Elpis, like one of the options you can do is I should say and help. But all you'd be doing is helping with, Yawn is invading. The only thing you say and help with is the end of the day or the final days. So like it's not like you can the birds have already flown.
It adds to that sense of inevitability. It makes Hermes' decision to delete his own memories less villainous in a way, because it could have already came about even if he had not helped Medion escape.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Invictus said, I had to play Endwalker MSQ in chunks. I did blasphemy stuff and Elpis stuff over the course of a 13-hour gaming session and was so emotionally drained I took a break for a week. I don't know how people marathon. Yeah, I think it just depends on your, not even your investment, but just how you like to internalize and pour over narrative. Because it just kind of depends on my investment level, typically, how much I want to dive in.
It was different for Mass Effect 3 because being a part of the internet was still very novel and exciting. Now I find that that's less joyous. Putting out a tweet into the world, being like, oh, I beat Mass Effect 3. What a wonderful experience. I can't believe. And immediately told why it sucks, right? Mm-hmm. It's where we've evolved to, the amount of people online, the barrier to entry.
That's the wrong take.
Exactly. So I'm not as eager. I also really like deciding what to do in my own time. I feel like I'm sticking it to the man a little bit when I do that. You don't tell me the perfect time to return to blank. It's my time to return to blank. I
think a lot. I put a lot of power into like one line in one episode of South Park. I think often when it comes to people telling you have the wrong take. I think so often about the Crystal Skull episode. At the very end, when Butters comes in and goes, I don't know, I thought it was pretty good. I think about that all the time. Just like, live life like Butters. Doesn't matter what popular opinion is. Did you like it? Fuck the haters. Who cares? That's how, I remember coming out Last Jedi being like, it's not perfect, but I had a good time. And then like,
which one was that? Last one?
The second one. No, Rise of Skywalker, I was actively annoyed by it. Last Jedi, I was like, pacing issues, but overall, I had a good time. And then I returned to like that community meme of just the world on fire, and I just like there with my pizza, like I was just here to have a good time. And then suddenly people fighting about it like it's a damn presidential election, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna remove myself from this conversation and continue just being like, it was fine. Yeah. But I will fight you for Solo. I love that movie. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of power in. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
Sure.
I think there's a lot of power in that. Mesa Base said, "Mommy never goes out of style." Kyle.
I see.
That's fair. Shakat, what'd you say? It said, if you want to punch Medion at the edge of darkness, play Monk. You got me.
That's true.
You got me.
Yeah.
It's the D's nuts of the grinding gear community.
Yeah, the headcanon's a little weird as a healer because I want to help others punch while I put and manage my dots and cards. So let me have this.
Karu, thanks for the super set. I want to know what you guys think about Vana, Azam, and Hythlodaeus all being Emmett's personal chaos gremlins. Yeah, Vana, I feel like wasn't actively sowing chaos for Emmett as we saw it. Hythlo was very actively messing with Emmett while we were hanging on Elpis. Vana was more passively messing with Emmett. But the way Emmett talks about everyone that has ever held the station of Azam, we know Vana was also getting at him.
Messing around.
Yeah. And Dino supered, your crazy ramblings remind me of Grandpa Simpson. Carry on. We did.
I think that's fair.
We in fact carried on, Dino.
This was a especially unhinged episode for anyone not in the know of exactly where we are with the exact pressures that we were being put under by a very successful content creator.
That's the entire setup for this. That's the whole bit. Kyle.
Yeah.
It's the whole bit. It's the fun of it. It falls to you now. May you have the joy of it. The sorrow.
There's still, it's a special kind of fun unfair where if you ask me what's the whole expansion, taking out all the towers, how many limbs do I have of them?
And they were just like, nah, close enough.
That's kind of like 5 minutes of the expansion.
It's going to be the role quest.
Yeah.
Those are going to be the role quests. We're going to be going to the other zones. We're We're gonna roll credits. We're gonna be like, and peace was returned to the world. And we're gonna roll quests and just, guys,
Oh my god, everything's on fire.
something's gotta be done about Ishgard.
I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what they're talking about.
Yeah, I just not so much that I want to pause MSQ to do it.
No.
And I don't think literally anyone wants us to because no one has asked us.
Yeah, that Shadowbringers, there was a lot of, you guys got to do the role quests. I don't think I've heard anybody recommend the role quests in Endwalker.
No. Honestly, no mention of them.
But
whatsoever.
not like they haven't complained either, so
No.
I don't think they're bad.
No.
Just think
I am still a little bit of the role quests and Shadowbringers were a little over recommended. I thought it was going to tie a little more directly into like the main story quest. It was, while I enjoyed it enough, I was like, I was expecting a bigger lore bombshell.
I thought it was pretty decent. I think you also get into the territory of you're doing content that I haven't done. So I'm not going to... The conversation drops off a little bit because there are a lot of people who just play the game for the MSQ and miss side things, which
That's
are
fair.
understandable.
I liked it significantly more than the Black Rose quest, which I like probably that's my it's my example of feeling forced into content that I don't think is worth doing.
Sure.
It's the best example I can give because I'm like, I would have been perfectly in the know about Black Rose if I had just stuck to the MSQ. But that's it. That's it. But yeah, no, I enjoyed them, but I don't know. Kind of like how, like going into the twinning, like the way people were like foaming in the mouth about it. I'm like, is there like some like hidden revelation about Emmett or the ancients in here? And it was like, oh, you all like the dancing.
Oh
meme.
yeah, that's a weird misfire.
Yeah, and the twinning is cool. Like having Alexander at the end is neat, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be because of the hype of the community around it. Yeah, and people just love the music. Yeah, yeah, the music that track does kick ass. Yeah, so no, it's just an interesting thought. So I'm not casting aspersions. If you like Black Rose, you can like Black Rose.
I thought it was okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know. I thought it was pretty okay. Exactly. See? I respect that.
Exactly.
I respect the shit out of that. You enjoy what you enjoy.
Oh, we have a video coming out on Wednesday. We have a stream tomorrow.
Yep.
It'll be a fun time.
It will be a fun time. And we have a podcast to post and editing to do. So thank you all for hanging. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. What are we doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're doing Valentine's Day event and
We're doing Valentine's event tomorrow.
leveling for role quests as well.
You think we're going to get through the Valentine's event
They
quickly.
are sometimes big. I've heard this one's short, but that doesn't always mean it's true.
We're also chuckle fucks.
Yes.
So.
Well, on Tuesdays, we do tend to chuckle around a bit.
Chuckle around.
Yeah.
Chuckle around. So join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Grinding Gear channel. See you then, everybody. Thanks for coming by.
Bye,
This is
everybody.
a good time.